Hello and welcome to this brand new edition of Global Lens on News9 Live with me, Neha Khanna. As always, we have a packed show for you with all the top news stories from around the globe. Let's get started with our big focus. Tonight, let's take a look at the paradox of Pakistan. It's a country that's reeling under its worst economic crisis in its entire history. The cost of living for most Pakistanis is extortionate. Everything from food and electricity to education seems practically unaffordable. The country is surviving on IMF bailouts and doles from friendly countries. The present is grim and the future appears equally bleak to most people in the country. That is the reality for a majority of Pakistanis today. And then there are the rich, privileged elite who seem to inhabit a different planet altogether. A cocoon of luxury far removed from the misery of the average citizen. And while this has been an open secret for as long as one can remember, a new sensational report has left the average Pakistanis shaking their heads with disbelief. A massive tranche of leaked data from Dubai has revealed that there are at least 23,000 properties estimated to be worth a staggering $12.5 billion in the UAE capital belonging to Pakistani nationals. And when we say Pakistani nationals, we mean the who's who of Pakistani politics, military, business, you name it. The leaked data provides a detailed overview of hundreds of thousands of properties in Dubai and information about their ownership or usage from 2020 to 2022. This information was obtained by the Center for Advanced Defense Studies, a non-profit organization based in Washington, D.C., which researches international crime and conflict. It was subsequently shared with the Organized Crime and Corruption Reporting Project, which coordinated an investigative project with media houses from around the world. Titled Dubai Unlocked, the collaboration includes 74 partners from 58 countries. While a mere mention in the data is not evidence by itself of financial crime or tax fraud, it does paint an astounding picture of contrasts and, as we said, the paradox of Pakistan. The country is tottering on the brink of economic collapse, begging international lenders and friendly countries for lifelines. It features prominently in this data. While 17,000 Pakistani citizens are listed owners in the 2022 data, academics studying the data and additional sources put the actual number of Pakistani owners of residential property in Dubai at over 23,000. According to their estimate, the luxury apartments and villas may have been worth more than $10 billion at the beginning of 2022. But with the more than 25% increase in property prices over the last 2 years, the real worth of Pakistani's presidential properties in Dubai could now be well over $12.5 billion. The Pakistan media has reported that while over the years there have been several attempts by tax authorities to reach out to Dubai for information on rich Pakistanis who have invested there, the Dubai authorities have remained tight-lipped. Some say because of Pakistan's bankruptcy and financial dependence on countries like the UAE, it cannot seek such information. Dubai thrives on non-transparency and doesn't want to share such information. Non-resident or overseas Pakistanis are only liable to pay tax on income generated in Pakistan. They're not required to file a wealth status or declare overseas assets. The data also shows that London with $740 million comes in a distant second behind Dubai for Pakistanis looking to invest in offshore real estate. Singapore is third on the list with $120 million. Dubai is, of course, a global financial center, often described as a playground for the world's rich. It prides itself on being an open economy for companies and individuals who want to make investments. But the glamorous emirate has a darker reputation as a tax haven and top destination for murky sources of cash and money laundering, often through real estate transactions. In 2019, Transparency International dubbed the emirate a money laundering paradise, highlighting that individuals with questionable sources of income are able to invest in Dubai without any restrictions. Pakistani media have quoted an Arab lawyer as saying, "Private jets full of money land frequently in Dubai. No one can ask who the money is for. It's taken out and deposited in special accounts." Dubai was added to the Financial Action Task Force or FATF's grey list in 2022 but taken off it this February. Some say the move was premature and driven by geopolitical concerns. Experts argue the lure of real estate as an asset class lies in its relatively stable value over time, the possibility to manipulate prices and possibilities for anonymous ownership in countries with weak property registers. And that's how well-heeled Pakistanis play the real estate market in their favorite offshore destination for investments. The Pakistan media has quoted analysts as saying, "Every elite family in Pakistan, armed forces, politicians, business people, everyone who's affluent has property in Dubai." The real issue is the lack of transparency and the close ties between the elite in Pakistan and the UAE. So who are these affluent Pakistani elite who figure on this Dubai list? Well, it is a very long list that includes Pakistan President Asif Ali Zardari's children, Bhutto Zardari, Asifa Bhutto Zardari and PPP chairman Bilawal Bhutto Zardari. Then there is Hussain Nawaz, the son of former Prime Minister and PMLN President Nawaz Sharif. The other names from the political world include former Prime Minister Shaukat Aziz and his wife, Sharjeel Imam Menon, the Sindh Information Minister and his wife, Sardar Sanaullah Zehri, former Chief Minister of Baluchistan and his family, and many, many more. The Pakistan military is not far behind. The list includes names of former Pakistan Army Chief and President, the late General Pervez Mussharaf, Lieutenant General Alam Jan Mehsood, Lieutenant General Shafat Ullah Shah, Major General Syed Ehtesham Zamir, Lieutenant General Muhammad Akram, Major General Ghazannaf Ali Khan. You get the idea. It is a long list. Let's now take a detailed look at the state of Pakistan's economy. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif recently announced that his government would privatise all state-owned enterprises in the country with the exception of strategic entities. Another desperate attempt to shore up Pakistan's shaky finances. The announcement came a day after an International Monetary Fund mission began talks in Islamabad for a new long-term extended fund facility, following Pakistan's completion of a $3 billion standby arrangement last month, which averted a sovereign debt default last summer. Pakistan is set to receive more than $1 billion from the IMF in a fresh loan to shore up its bankrupt economy. Ahead of the bailout package being approved, Pakistan had to undertake a slew of austerity measures demanded by the IMF, including revising its budget, a hike in its benchmark interest rate, and hikes in electricity and natural gas prices. Since 2023, the IMF has provided more than $3 billion in loan to Pakistan as the country remains on the brink of economic collapse. This is a country that could do with investments from its own affluent people as it desperately seeks employment opportunities and economic revival. But the trouble is, the Pakistani elite are all too consumed by their charmed lives, cooped up in their ivory towers, in luxurious foreign locales such as Dubai, Singapore and London, to care about the daily struggle for survival faced by the poor back home. Not to mention the innumerable corruption cases that political and military figures in Pakistan have faced over the years. The elite have been so busy enriching themselves at the expense of the country, little wonder then that the average citizens of Pakistan are thoroughly disillusioned with their political class and in many cases also with the once revered army. What does this really mean for Pakistan? How does the average Pakistani citizen view this expose? We'll discuss that with our panel of guests in just a moment after this quick break.
Start with the end in mind. You need to know where you want to reach. Every morning that we wake up, we are exercising our choice. The destiny is decided. The results are known that I'm going to win. Life of a goalkeeper is something which has always intrigued me. When you come into a stadium, this is the highest level of pressure. When I set out to do something, I decide in my mind that failure is not an option.
What you feel very strongly about, those are the stories to tell.
I have a mind which is absolutely restless.
Mind and body are entangled sensations.
That brings me back to golf. It's an amazing game.
This is not a perfect game. You only learn from them.
If you have a formula to a success, then you can replicate it.
I feel this is my first step. I'm starting now.
Winner is first born in the mind. I think, therefore I am. We are all about our mind.
World premiere every Saturday on News9 Live at 9 p.m.
Welcome back. You're watching Global Lens on News9 Live with me, Neha Khanna, and we're discussing Dubai Unlocked, a big expose on how Pakistan's rich and elite have invested in property worth billions of dollars in Dubai, and this expose comes at a time when Pakistan is reeling under its worst economic crisis. Let's go across to our guest. Joining me on Global Lens tonight, Zulkarnain Tahir, political correspondent with the Dawn newspaper, joining us live from Lahore in Pakistan. Manoj Joshi, distinguished fellow at the Observer Research Foundation, is also with us and completing the panel tonight. Professor Sanjay Bharadwaj at the Center for South Asian Studies at the School of International Studies, Jawaharlal Nehru University. A warm welcome to all my guests. Let's begin with our Pakistani guest, Zulkarnain Tahir. Welcome back to Global Lens. Good to have you back on the show. You know, at the start of the show, I actually quoted extensively from a very comprehensive report that has been carried by the Dawn. And the only question, frankly, that comes to mind is this: how does the average Pakistani citizen view this expose? You know, we've talked about how the country is going through its worst economic crisis ever. The cost of living is, you know, making life miserable for ordinary people in Pakistan. Everything from food to electricity and providing an education for their children is proving to be so challenging for the people of that country. And then comes the expose that the rich and the elite from every walk of life, you know, own property worth billions and billions of dollars in a tax haven like Dubai. Now, one is not suggesting here that all of it is illegitimate wealth, but, you know, many would wonder, shouldn't these investments be made in Pakistan instead, a country that needs those investments, that needs those employment opportunities that might come with those investments?
Yeah, you see, it's quite a shame for Pakistani super elite, be it ex-journals, be it politicians or the businessmen. Today, the rebuttal they issued after this report, the Dubai or Dubai Unlocked, came to fore. This taking pride in it that yes, this is our legitimate money, and yes, we invested in Dubai. They're saying that there is no illegality committed. So the clarification or the rebuttal from the super elite itself was quite shameful, because the government of the time, and then I come to the people, the government of the time is begging for 1 billion to 3 billion from IMF and from the Gulf countries in terms of a kind of aid or investment. And on the other hand, its own people, or rather many in the government, they are investing in Dubai or elsewhere. It's quite a shameful thing, which has no place, and the people are simply cursing them that, what you have made of us, we are, people are dying for floor, people are dying for, and they're hardly bearing that electricity bills. They are soaring quite up, for the package of some $3 billion dollars from the IMF bailout package. Pakistani government is being asked to increase the electricity rate, the gas rates. People can't afford at the moment. Already huge inflation is crossing like 40%. They've been buried under it, and with that new additional taxes and high rates of electricity, hardly people would survive in that scenario.
This just goes to show how cut off the Pakistani elite are from the reality of Pakistan. It's as if, as I said at the start of my show, Zulkarnain, as if they inhabit a different planet. They live in, an ivory tower where they just don't seem to care about what the average Pakistani has to deal with on a daily basis. And if you look at some of the names that figure on this list, I mean, it's the who's who of Pakistan's politics, military and business. I mean, the Sharifs and the Bhuttos and, you name it, and it's all there. I mean, the point really is, isn't this causing a lot of anger in Pakistan? Because like you mentioned, at a time when Pakistan is waiting for a $3 billion bailout package from IMF, we're looking at property worth $12.5 billion, which could actually take care of more than 4 such IMF bailout packages.
Yeah, yes, true. And you see the outrage of the people recently witnessed in the Kashmir here, and the thousands of people just took to street, took to road, and went out their anger against that increasing cost of living, soaring electricity bills, and you see a few people got killed in the riots as well. And similarly, this similar passion is running here in the rest of the country, and this is you see is a kind of boiling point, and at any point of time, it can be exploded. And as far as the government is concerned, it appears to be completely settled with that of making money kind of thing. And you see the recent scandal, that is a $1 billion wheat import scandal of that caretaker government. The 3 months back, there was here in Pakistan, we had a caretaker government of Anwarul Haqqaqar that imported $1 billion wheat, despite knowing that Pakistan gonna have a bumper crop this season. And currently, the farmers are in utter distress. They are protesting, and they are protesting, and at the same time, they're getting the thrashing from the at the hands of the Punjab police. Instead, the government conducted inquiry and fixed those who causes big problem for farmers, and as well as loss to the exchequer of rupees $1 billion. Instead, government gave a clean sheet to the caretakers, and because the caretakers had the backers, and we know who were their backers, and the current incumbent government also has a similar backers. So every such thing they put under the carpet, and life goes on, and they know. And you see, they think that the public, it is suffering. Never mind, we are having good time.
We're having a good time, let the public suffer. I can imagine the level of frustration that ordinary Pakistani citizens feel today, with you saying that they're cursing these politicians now that this report has come out, and most believe that the response that has come from those whose names figure on the list is quite shameful. On that note, let's take a quick break here on Global Lens. We'll continue this conversation on the other side.
You were the chosen one to direct Mr. Bachchan for his first endorsement, for his first appearance on the small screen.
It was a life-changing moment.
Have you been a rebel with a cause?
There was a sense of responsibility, there was a sense of frustration.
Are you worried about cancel culture?
You tell a story with a fierce psychosis, you're gonna spoil it anyway.
This and more. Streaming on News9 Plus. Subscribe and get free vouchers.
वो पूछते हैं कि हम कौन है गालिब, तुम बतलाओ कि हम बतलाएं क्या?
I told him, you do what you think is best, I will not insist.
This and more. Streaming on News9 Plus. News is now content. Subscribe and get free vouchers.
Welcome back. You're watching Global Lens on News9 Live with me, Neha Khanna. Let me now go across to Manoj Joshi. Mr. Joshi, you've read this report, and while on the one hand it may have sent shockwaves across Pakistan, on the other, I'm guessing a lot of people have even been blasé about it, given that this has really been an open secret for a very long time, how the rich and elite in Pakistan prefer to park their money in foreign locales such as Dubai, London and Singapore. But if you just look at the names that figure on this list and then look at the grim reality that Pakistan faces today, this is a country that is surviving on bailouts from the IMF. It's waiting for another $3 billion bailout package to come its way. This is a country which is reeling under its worst economic crisis in its entire history. This is a country that saw food riots last year. And then there are the elite who live in this cocoon, who just don't seem to care about the struggles of the average Pakistanis. And these aren't just some businessmen that we're talking about. These are the ruling elite. This is the political class, top political and military figures. These are people who are at the end of the day responsible to a large extent for the state that Pakistan and its economy are in today. Little wonder then that there is so much anger and disillusionment amongst the Pakistani people today with the political class. And would you say that now that extends even to the once revered army?
Well, just for the record, I want to tell you that the Dawn also said that the Indians topped the list of people owning residential property in Dubai.
That's true.
We own our
That's
Indian
true, but we are not
more.
waiting. I agree with you, sir. But number one, there is no. I'm just saying, sir, just a clarification. Just a clarification. Of course, I will. I'm just saying there's a clarification I want to make. Okay, go ahead.
Let me make my point. My point is that whereas the profile of the Indians who would be owning property there would be fairly reasonable, in the sense they would be likely to be businessmen, maybe property people from Mumbai, maybe film stars and others. But the unique thing about the Pakistani list, and what I think is really shocking, is the presence of military personnel. There is no way in which military personnel could be having that kind of money, which they would put in a tax haven like Dubai, unless there is outright corruption. So this I consider an extremely significant kind of a situation. Of course, there are other bureaucrats also up there, but the list that you read out basically spoke of the absolutely top names in the Pakistani military. Now that is something which you will not find on any Indian list. It completely would be, I would be really surprised if anything of that kind figured. So yes, we do own property, we have investments, we have large numbers of businessmen, we have a huge Indian population in Dubai. So obviously they will own residential property in Dubai. So, but as far as Pakistan is concerned, as you said, we are at one level, we are blasé about it. And yes, there is reason to be blasé because this is something which has been there for a long time. This is a feature, meaning if I'm not mistaken, President Mussharaf spent the last years of his life in Dubai. Must be owning property there. I can't see any equivalent Indian figure, an Indian general, having enough money to be living in Dubai in the last years of his life. So yes, there is a problem with Pakistan and the Pakistani, and especially the Pakistani military, because that is the corruption that almost never surfaces. Because when it comes to civilian corruption, don't forget in 2018, Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif was sentenced to 10 years in jail for the Panama Papers. That was just another equivalent of this present, what you're telling us about the Dubai expose. There was another expose on the Panama Papers. So Prime Minister Sharif was actually sentenced to 10 years. But we do not see any equivalent military figures being sentenced or being arrested or being prosecuted for corruption. In Pakistan, it's very routine that, when one party comes to power, they prosecute people from the other party. But the military rides above all this, and yet we know that these are the people who have a hand in the till and who are making huge amounts of money and parking it in various tax havens all over the place. Because I think you also mentioned General Bajwa earlier, and the various other generals that you listed. So that, in my opinion, that is the real issue. The fact that Dubai is a tax haven, we all know. And people who are clever businessmen utilize tax havens to park their money there. But when you find a certain section of the elite, so when I say elite, I would say certain section of the elite, and in this case, the Pakistan army, definitely there is a huge problem. But whatever I can see, I do not see the Pakistani people as yet sort of targeting the Pakistani army on this issue. The Pakistan army has successfully, blunted various challenges, and it has even managed to, they've jailed Imran Khan, and they've got the Sharifs back in action after having fought with the Sharifs. The military, after all, sentenced Nawaz Sharif to death.
Yes.
See? So what I'm trying to say is that the Pakistan army is the key out here.
I totally agree with you, and it'll be very interesting to see how the public reacts to, these names figuring on that list in the days ahead. And you're quite right. We cannot really draw a comparison between Indian investments in Dubai and Pakistani investments, because the Pakistani nationals we're talking about are the ruling elite from the political and the military class. That's one. And two, India is not a country that survives on dole-outs. Pakistan does. I want to take another break here on Global Lens. Don't go anywhere. We'll continue this conversation on the other side.
That ink is a semi-permanent dye called the indelible ink.
We are the sole manufacturer of this indelible ink.
Don't try to repair something which is working.
And if you have facial recognition, you can go vote in any booth anywhere based on where you are, and then it will be recorded that you can't vote anywhere else again.
Can we retire indelible ink and use biometrics? Theoretically, my answer would be yes.
This and more. Streaming on News9 plus news is now content. Subscribe and get free vouchers.
How do you fulfill that promise? Because ultimately expectations have to be met. If you look at the political landscape, is it really changing for women? And what is the inability of the forces that dead bodies surface but not the living people?
Start with the end in mind. You need to know where you want to reach. Every morning that we wake up, we are exercising our choice. The destiny is decided. The results are known that I'm going to win. Life of a goalkeeper is something which has always intrigued me. When you come into a stadium, this is the highest level of pressure.
When I set out to do something, I decide in my mind that failure is not an option.
What you feel very strongly about, those are the stories to tell.
I have a mind which is absolutely restless.
Mind and body are entangled sensations.
That brings me back to golf. It's an amazing game.
This is not a perfect game. You only learn from them.
If you have a formula to a success, then you can replicate it.
I feel this is my first step. I'm starting now.
Winner is first born in the mind. I think, therefore I am. We are all about our mind.
World premiere every Saturday on News9 Live at 9 p.m.
For the very first time in our investigation, we unmasked the killer of Ravindra Matre.
In 5G, we have to stand with the world, and in 6G, we have to lead the world.
Winning a Grammy was an absolutely surreal experience.
Has Allu Arjun arrived, or he's just taking off?
If I really want to hit a moon shot, I want the moon.
These are big stories.
It's very unique to Indian cinema.
What would be the relevance of tradition?
I would believe that the first change has to come in the mind.
World premiere on the 18th of May only on News9 Live at 9 p.m.
Welcome back. You're watching Global Lens on News9 Live with me, Neha Khanna. Let me now go across to Professor Sanjay Bharadwaj. Professor Bharadwaj, I want to talk about the army of Pakistan. While perhaps not many will be surprised that some of the biggest political names in Pakistan figure on this Dubai Unlocked list, but what about the fact that so many of the military elite also appear on it? My question simply is, should this not create a crisis of credibility for Pakistan's revered army as well? Or do you believe it will continue to be the holy cow that it has been all these decades in that country?
Thank you very much. Let me make a few submissions. The first submission is that, whatever we are discussing, these are all symptoms. These are not the causes, in fact, that you can see that people of Pakistan, or particularly what you are mentioning about the socio-political elites of Pakistan, they are investing in other countries, particularly in Dubai. It means that Pakistan is not secure place for the investment and also not secure for to live. This is one submission. Second submission, that if you are just looking and just going with the past few years, that Pakistan is politically bankrupt, number one. Number two, Pakistan is secure, by security also, it is bankrupt. Economically, it is bankrupt. The data you have shown, definitely it shows that Pakistan is totally insecure. In fact, when you are going, what are the major basic causes of that Pakistan is, that there are a number of saying about Pakistan, that Pakistan is a pale state, Pakistan is a fragile state, Pakistan is anytime it can be divided or separated by Balochistan and all that. But I tell you one thing, that Pakistan is very strong institutionally. The institutions of Pakistan, either you take the military, what you have mentioned, you take the bureaucracy, you take the judiciary, the institutions are very strong and they are holding Pakistan very strongly because they have very deep corporate interest in Pakistan. The Pakistan is, for them, is a money-making source. A Pakistan army that had always been exploiting the international communities to on the name of terrorism, on the name of Cold War politics, on the name of Taliban, all that to fight against the Soviet invasion and all that. The Pakistan army had been exploiting and getting a lot of money, but they are not investing in Pakistan. They are definitely having corporate interests. They are involved everywhere in all the businesses of Pakistan, but they are investing in Dubai. The major cause, what I do find that there is a serious crisis of democracy. What are the institutions? What are the mediating values that is required to have a democracy? That you have accountability. That Pakistan army, and since they do not have democracy, there is no accountability. There are no responsiveness. There is no transparency. And because of these reasons, that these institutions, these socio-political elites, what we are mentioning, they are enjoying the full-fledged power, and they are making money and investing wherever they are feeling secure for their children's. And you can see the nexus that where the politicians, where the army officers, the bureaucrats, and the other friends of these trico, you can say they are all making and investing in Dubai. So you can see that, and because of this reason, that Pakistan has reached on the verge of economic collapse or economic crisis, that no country, no institution are ready to give any kind of relief to Pakistan's economy. And you know that they are having tough time to have bailout from IMF. They are having tough time because you can see these issues were raised in the past also. When UAE these issues were raised, but Imran Khan and other bureaucrats and officers were aware about these things, but they said that we are having bailout from UAE around because UAE had $3 billion debt on Pakistan, so they have released around $1 billion, given rebate of $1 billion. So they are aware about all these illegal practices that Pakistan, they are doing, informal businesses they are doing, and you know wherever you will find the safe destiny for their investment. Of course, Dubai and UAE is the safe destiny. They do not bother about that, the money laundering, the black money, all businesses, and they are doing whatever they are feeling, unless until their though their own existence is under danger. So these are very serious issues. And because of this reason, that Pakistan has a serious security crisis. Terrorism is getting very deep rooted in all the parts. Every day you are finding that terrorist attacks in all the parts of Pakistan. But POK, you can see that protests are going on.
There's growing unrest there too. Absolutely.
Of course, all these, and economic and politically, you know that how the masters or the deep state is playing and blackmailing and influencing the political system.
You're quite right, Professor Bhardwaj. You know, you made some very interesting points, and I want to take some of these to our Pakistani guest. Zulkarnain, Professor Sanjay Bhardwaj says that, you know, the institutions like the army are what act as a glue and keep Pakistan together. But at the same time, he says that, you know, the Pakistan army has interests in businesses across the country. They've made a lot of money over the decades, but they choose to invest in foreign destinations, not in Pakistan. My question then to you is this: how come the people of Pakistan are not yet disillusioned with the army the way they are with the political class? I mean, look at the names that figure on this list. Some of the biggest names in Pakistan military are on that list. Should this not create a credibility crisis for the Pakistan army, or do you believe it continues to be and will remain the holy cow that it has always been?
Yeah, you see, it has been, the public has been disillusioned completely, and that is why Imran Khan is behind bars. His major crime is this, that he made the public disillusioned with the establishment. That is the main thing. Now you see public categorically, or you see everywhere on especially the social media is under the scanner, mean the blaming that hidden powers, you know, for for all their miseries. And that's the crime. And even the other thing, that why yes, the establishment still, one thing, it makes sure that power doesn't separate from itself. So it has its clutches all are over the power. And as so far the money is concerned, Pakistani elite, whether they are from political class or elsewhere, they don't trust in Pakistan, that Pakistan is a safe place. So they take their money out of Pakistan and put at a safe place like Dubai or London or Paris or elsewhere. And that's the fact people know now. And this is one of the anti-corruption narrative propelled by Imran Khan. The people bought, and that's why he's one of the he is the most popular leader in Pakistan, because of such things. Because he been saying since long that if you love Pakistan, talking to the Pakistani elite, be it politician or else, bring your money back to Pakistan. Why Nawaz Sharif politics dipped down? Why he's no more popular in Pakistan? One of the reasons is this. Of course, he sided with the establishment. The other thing is this: his property is in London, in Dubai, and elsewhere. And people
the last person who can talk about corruption. Yes.
Yes, talk about the corruption and ask them. Yes, if you have very expensive flats in London, sell them over there, bring the money in Pakistan and invest here. Why you ask the people across the globe, especially of Gulf countries, come over here and invest billions of dollars? But since you are taking your billions of making billions of dollars here and taking to other countries. So these are the questions being raised everywhere.
Very valid points, Zulkarnain.
Yeah. And coming back to the point
yes.
which you started off, that the people has completely been disillusioned. Establishment no more enjoying the popularity
that it once did,
or the support of the people it used to have. Things have changed altogether here.
Things have changed. Pakistan army is not the holy cow that it used to be. You've made some very valid points. If the ruling elite of Pakistan is going to invest its money abroad, how can they ask other countries to come and invest in Pakistan? And also an interesting point about Imran Khan, though ironically he too has been locked up on corruption charges. Of course his supporters say these are trumped up charges. I'm out of time, so I'll give the last word to Manoj Joshi. Manoj Joshi, you heard our Pakistani guest. He says no, the Pakistan army is not the holy cow that it used to be. The people are disillusioned with the institution. There is a lot of anger, and it is because Imran Khan sought to expose the establishment, which really pretty much is a euphemism for the Pakistan military, that he paid a heavy price by being put behind bars.
But you also heard the professor who said that Pakistan has very strong institutions. And unlike other countries, in Pakistan, the key institution is the army. And I do not see, as of now, that army's authority has been undermined. Meaning, despite the clash with Imran Khan, which was a direct clash between the army and the politicians, actually, if you look back at history, to the time of Junejo, you find that always civilian politicians have clashed with the army eventually. But eventually the army has come out number one. And even today, I see that the army remains where it is because it is much more organized, much more focused, and much more disciplined. Whenever the army operates, it marches lockstep with its chief.
Okay.
Whoever is the chief of the Pakistan army. So Musharaf was the chief of the Pakistan army. He wanted to make peace with India. They went behind him. But the moment he left, there was another chief. They abandoned that policy. So I think that army as a strong institution remains, and I think it will take some more time before we can see the army being undermined.
Okay, very interesting. So you're making an important distinction here that there may be anger and even a degree of disillusionment, but its authority is not yet undermined. Some might also argue, where do the people of Pakistan go? Ultimately, they're disillusioned with the political class if they also end up completely losing faith in the only institution that they've so far had confidence in. Where do the people go? On that note, Zulkarnain Tahir, Manoj Joshi, Professor Sanjay Bharadwaj, thank you so much to all of you for joining me on Global Lens tonight. All right, in some news coming in, the Slovak Prime Minister Robert Fico has suffered life-threatening injuries after he was shot at earlier this evening. The assassination attempt on the 59-year-old leader took place after he held a government meeting in the central city of Hanover. Fico is being transported by a helicopter to the city of Bistrica for urgent medical treatment. Police officials have detained a man and was seen pushing another person into a car as it drove off. Reports suggest 4 shots were fired by the assassin and the Prime Minister was shot in the abdomen. In view of this shooting incident, Slovakia's biggest opposition party has called off a planned protest against the government over reforms in the public broadcaster. Several leaders in Europe have condemned the incident and expressed grave concern over the attack on the Prime Minister of Slovakia. All right, we will keep you posted on that story. For now, let's get you some news from India. External Affairs Minister S. Shankar has slammed the Western media for what he called its negative portrayal of Indian elections, highlighting the irony of advice from countries that have to go to court for deciding their election results. Speaking at an event in Kolkata, Jaishankar said Western countries do want to influence us because many of these countries feel that they've influenced the world for close to 200 years. How do you expect someone who's been in that position to give up those old habits so easily? Describing the situation as a mind game, Jaishankar called out the hypocrisy of countries that resolve electoral disputes in court yet lecture India on how to conduct an election. Listen in.
They are looking for that class of people really to rule this country. And I think they're disturbed when the Indian population feels otherwise. And that has been today actually a big part of the debate between us and the world. You can say world really means your Western countries and the Western media. I mean, to be very honest with you, actually, please, in many cases, because I follow this for a living, Western media actually in some cases openly endorse candidates and endorse political parties in this country. I mean, they don't hide their preference. So the answer is, you know, and they're very smart because look, somebody's been doing this world domination game for 300 years, you know, you learn a lot. Anubhavi log hai, chatur log hai. So, you know, they will do after all, what does a newspaper do? Oh, they will reputationally damage you. Oh, koi index nikalenge. They will put you down in that index. You know, they will, you know, countries who have to go to court to decide the result of their election are giving you today gyan about how to conduct your election.
In other news, US Secretary of State Antony Blinken is wrapping up his trip to Ukraine, where he reaffirmed the Biden administration's support for the war-torn country amid Russia's advances in the Kharkiv region. Blinken has announced $2 billion in military financing for Ukraine and said much-needed ammunition and weapons are being rushed to the front lines. Blinken said Ukraine is facing this renewed brutal Russian onslaught. We are rushing ammunition, armored vehicles, missiles and air defenses, rushing them to get to the front lines to protect soldiers and civilians. He pointed out that air defenses are a top priority. Blinken also said Washington strongly supports a Ukrainian peace summit set to take place next month in Switzerland. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has cancelled all his upcoming international visits as the beleaguered country grapples with the new Russian offensive. Russia is pushing into northeastern Ukraine after making major advances there over the past week, marking Moscow's most significant gains since Ukrainian forces recaptured the Kharkiv region in 2022. More than 7,500 people have been evacuated from the region. As Moscow intensifies a widespread offensive offensive to make gains in Ukraine's northeastern Kharkiv region, a new guided bomb is inflicting mass damage on the front lines. The Fab 1500, converted from a basic Soviet-era weapon, is a 1.5-ton gliding bomb that is nearly half filled with high explosives. It's another example of how Russia is fighting its war in Ukraine, causing massive destruction before trying to capture territory. On Tuesday, Russian forces used glide bombs in 3 barrages on Kharkiv, hitting more than 20 targets. More than 20 civilians, including 2 12-year-old girls and an 8-year-old boy, were wounded in those attacks, according to Ukrainian authorities. Glide bombs are dropped from aircraft that, in the case of attacks on the Kharkiv border region, don't even need to enter Ukrainian airspace. The situation has significantly worsened in Kharkiv as Russia claims to have captured 4 further villages and expands its surprise cross-border offensive. More than 2 years into Russia's invasion of Ukraine, Zelensky has fought to keep attention on Kiev's military efforts to deter advances from Moscow by strengthening ties with allies. Most recently, he thanked US lawmakers after they voted in favor of a new aid package worth nearly $61 billion. European leaders too have approved a plan for regular payments to Ukraine as part of a $54 billion package. All right, that's all the time we have on this edition of Global Lens. Thanks so much for watching. Do join us again at the same time tomorrow.
That ink is a semi-permanent dye called